Hello, America. Dave Hodges here, host of the Common Sense Show. We are the show that is freeing America one enslaved mind at a time. Thank you so much for joining us. You know, we defend God, family, country in that order. We have a special place in our heart for the oppressed. And increasingly, in an exploitive medical system, you are the oppressed. And we're going to talk about that here today on the Common Sense Show. But first, I want to let you know first, this is my one of my souvenirs from the recent Hear the Watchman conference that I was honored to be presenting at. And I mean honored to share a stage with these great men of faith, and I mean great, and all the great people that were there. But something came out of this conference I wasn't really expecting. I must have had 12, 13, 15 conversations with people about Nanosoma. They wanted to know about the gel and the joints. They wanted to know about the spray. And they said, Dave, we've seen your testimonial. Really true? Dave, you look great. You are in such better shape than you've been before. If I heard that once, I swear I heard it a dozen times. And it's not an ego thing. It's just I'm doing the right stuff now. And I wouldn't have got there had it not been for the products. And even the wife of one of the major presenters approached me and she said, Dave, look, I've had this thing done here. And she goes, I don't want it done on the other limb. And I'm not going to be too specific because I respect the privacy. But this person said to me, will it really work that well? And I said, look, I can never guarantee a result, but I will tell you this. I get thank yous all the time. In fact, my friend Jimmy, who I can't say his last name because of his background, yeah, good source of information. He's done it. He says full endorsement, Dave, and other people I know. So we're getting incredible endorsements here, but really it was on trial to hear the Watchmen. And when I did my presentation, I didn't mention Nanosoma. It wasn't part of what I should have been doing. But you need to know, folks, that this is the real deal. Well, our guest is the North American manager, and I'll let you give me the right title here, Sean. Sean McDonald, and he's been on the show before. And after this conference with Hear the Watchman in Springfield, Missouri, I really felt I should clear the air with the multitude of questions I got. Because if I got 12 questions at the conference, okay, there are probably 12,000 or more people out there that have the same questions. So we wanted to talk to you about, does this stuff really work? Dave, did it really reverse your strip lung linings from RSV? Did it really let you get back in the gym and do Bulgarian split squats where it was too painful before? The answer to all that is yes. I even had the cut, Sean, right here. And I wore a bandage for about 10 days. I should have gotten 3 or 4 stitches. And I used the skin cream on it, healed, and I really don't even have a scar.
Yeah. First of all, Dave, it's fantastic to be back with you.
It's great to have you on.
It's
But I
been
wanted to
far too
set the
long.
stage. Yeah, it's great
Thank
to have
you.
you on. What's your official title? I always butcher this.
It's you don't butcher it. It's pretty darn close. General Manager of the Americas division of Magic Die Call. That's our parent company. And of course, we work with you under our movement of I Want My Health Back. And so basically that just means I look after the business for North, Central, South America. And we're not in all those countries in Central and South America, though we are working on it. We just opened up Colombia. We've got customers in Colombia market ordering, successfully shipping. So we're making it. We're continuing to spread these beautiful and profound products around the world. So again, great to be here. And it sounds like just an absolute fantastic conference that you got to experience. You look great.
Thanks.
You're looking very, very good, my friend. And I'm always just so touched in my heart to hear your experience and how transformative it was for you. I remember when we met about 2.5 years ago. It was a different man sitting at that desk.
Definitely. Yeah, and I was in such trouble with the RSV. I couldn't walk up a flight of stairs. And I had a really good doctor, a guy who I really respect. And he's a pulmonologist, and we've played basketball together in our younger years. And he says, Dave, I'm afraid these lung linings aren't coming back. And he goes, I know you too well not to tell you the truth. And I told my wife, I just said, I'm not accepting this. And so I got busy. Some of
Yeah.
it, look, it's a combination of the products and the grace of God and my determination. not to buy into a negative prognosis. And I want to ask you how you'd answer this question. When we take, and I have an old bottle of the gel here, okay? When I use the gel on my joints, and I couldn't do squats, and walking upstairs was painful, walking downstairs was worse. And I started to use this. For me, it's 6 weeks, I noticed real improvement with less pain. And in 8 weeks, I declared myself to be pain free. Now, occasionally, when I do the aforementioned Bulgarian split squat, that shadow memory of the pain will be there, but I'll think, okay, Dave, you've mastered this. Go ahead and do it. And I can do these. I'm leaving here after this interview to go play some basketball this morning. And we're in Pacific time right now, but um, it's just people have different time frames, and that's what I tell them. What do we tell them when they about the joint relief that they will get from the gel? For me, it
Yeah.
was 8 weeks.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. The timeline is unique for everyone. There's a few factors in that, overall condition, other issues that a body might be dealing with. Are they using the liquid spray every day to support the body from the inside out, which helps reinforce the power of the topical products? What's the diet like? There's a lot of variables here. So that's always something to keep in mind. In your case, you had really embraced, and you had to, you were using an aggressive protocol for the liquid spray. So you were getting your body on its way. And when you use these products, and first of all, it's a good time to say these products neither treat, cure, or heal anything.
Yeah.
Rather, they prompt our bodies to wake up and begin taking care of themselves in ways we've never imagined. And it's important to say that. And it's important to think about them differently than we think about other things that we do to help us stay in good health or get to good health. Back to your knees, 8 weeks, what's happening there? We won't go out into the weeds of the science, but one of the results of using these products that we know confirmed through blind lab studies, and the inventor of this, Dr. Raghavan's consistently having new lab studies done all the time on all kinds of topics. Well, we know from research and the outcomes that when you use the Nanosoma products and you have this active ingredient in your system, which for those who haven't seen us talk about this before, the active ingredient is a natural molecule derived from plant life. Specifically, we derive it from unrefined sugarcane. Now, I want to say unrefined sugarcane is not sugar. There's no sugar in these products.
Yeah.
And I say that with respect because some people do think that that means there's sugar in here and they're diabetic or whatever. There is no sugar. Unrefined sugarcane is it's not yet become sugar. But there's a molecule called polycosanol. It is a series of long chain lipid alcohols that make up this molecule. Lipid alcohol, your skin is a lipid alcohol. It's essential to biology.
Yep.
Anyway, some things have it in more concentration than others for people to really identify what it is because it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. The waxy substance on plant leaves that water beads up and rolls off of, that's polycosanol. And in its coarse form, there's many supplements. You can look this up and find it easily. Polycosanol is recognized as having the potential to lower bad cholesterol and boost good cholesterol. That's it. End of story. That's all polycosanol can do. The difference is that Dr. Raghavan stabilized polycosanol at less than 60 nanometers in size. That's a reference to size, not technology. And 60 nanometers in size is essentially half the size of a typical virus. It's microscopic. In a single bottle of Nanosoma liquid, there's billions of it in there. When it comes into contact with our bodies, because it's so small, that active ingredient penetrates our entire cellular genome, gets to the nucleus of our cells. And that's where the magic happens. Our bodies respond to this natural element at that size, at the cellular level, and begin doing things we haven't imagined possible. One of those things, getting back to your question, is what you experienced with your knees. When we as human beings, when we're created by God, our bodies in the embryonic state are making what's called pluripotent stem cells. These are the cells that literally form the physical body. And then when we're born, our bodies, having been created, no longer produce pluripotent stem cells. And
Mhm.
medical research has been trying to find ways to force manipulate the production of pluripotent stem cells for a long time. Uh, and why not? Pluripotent stem cells are responsible for a lot of things: rapid healing, rapid wound healing, all of that. So just like the cut you mentioned, I too have experienced that. I've had like really, 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 really severe cut, needed a lot of stitches, just not a choice that I wanted to make. I put this gel on there twice a day, morning and night, and in 2 weeks' time, you couldn't tell that I'd ever had a cut. That's amazing. You
It
experienced
is.
that with
And
yours.
I'll tell you my pluripotent stem cell. I did the research on this, and you're right. This product, the gel, does produce pluripotent stem cells. Now, here's where I was at. I'd had the MRIs on my knees, right knee particularly bad, and they said, Dave, you're probably at some time going to have a knee replacement. And it really took me out of playing. I was a college basketball coach for quite a while, and until my late 40s, I used to play in the off season with my players, and I could still compete. And then the just degradation set in, and now it started to become painful to walk up and down stairs. And when I started using the gel, because I'm back in the gym after using the spray, and I'm doing great, but the old inflammations, arthritis, and all that came in. So the uh, MRI showed an erosion of the cartilage. But here's the deal. This is what's unfortunate. I went back to my doctor and I said, "Here's what I'm doing." He was like, "Whoa." I said, "I could take you out in the parking lot and show you I run sprints now." He goes, "You're kidding." I said, "No." And I said, "I do the heavy sled." And I have no restriction other than I'm really careful and I play basketball about eccentric slowing because of ACL and stuff like that. But I said, other than just being cautious in that area, I have no restrictions. I haven't been able to do overhead military press in 20 years, and now I can do it without pain. And I had a torn rotator, which really led to that inhibition. And I wanted to have another MRI so we could do a pre and post check on me. And they said the insurance won't pay for it, and it's prohibitively expensive to pay for it on your own. But I can tell you what it would show. It would show a regrowth of cartilage. And how do I know? Because I'm feeling it. I'm
Yes,
feeling it.
absolutely. Yeah, it's, when I have this conversation with people and they'll say, and I think you asked me one time, what is exactly happening? I mean, is this stuff causing, the cartilage to grow back? I don't know. I'm not a doctor and that's outside of my wheelhouse. Here's what I know. You had very specific limitations before you started putting the gel on your knees. You'd already been taking the spray, so you got that internal support. It's helping you along. And then you started adding the topical gel directly on your knees. And in a very short period of time, you're doing the things that would have caused predictable outcomes: pain, inflammation, getting laid up for a couple of days, and you're not experiencing that. To me, that's all I need to know. I know the science says the body, when the presence of nanosoma, if it needs to, will make pluripotent stem cells, and that will repair damage. And you've experienced that, and that damage we know has been repaired because you are able to do these things that without physical limitation.
This product gave me my
It's
life
as
back,
clear as it
Sean.
is.
There's,
Indeed.
yeah, I can't state this strong enough. This product gave me my life back.
And I love that.
The things I enjoy doing now. You know, my wife and I, when we got married, we eloped to Lake Tahoe, and we stayed in a resort where you could just ski right outside your back door. It was awesome. And skiing and the twisting and turning on your knees, I can do that now. And we're going to try to do a getaway here to where we do the same thing this year. I mean, this is the kind of difference it's made in my life where I can enjoy things I did, in my younger years.
Yeah, absolutely. And boy, you got to get us a picture of that. I love that. And what a beautiful thing. And you're right. And I hear all the time, it's given me my life back. And that is one of the most precious statements that I can ever hear. I've been with this company now for about 5.5 years. It I feel chose me. I say that with all humbleness because I was in a 30-year career that I knew I was done with. It was in the media and I could see what was coming and I no longer wanted a part of it, especially at the time that we were experiencing at the end of 2019 into 2020. And I
Oh
had
yeah,
no
yeah,
idea,
I
and
remember that well.
I had no idea what was going to lay before me, and I had no idea how it was going to happen. And my wife and I, she's an acupuncturist. We bought the center that she was practicing in. Owner wanted to sell, and she really felt like, this is a special place. We should, okay, fine. Weren't looking to buy a business. It all came together, divinely guided. And then the next thing I know, a friend of mine who has since passed away called me up and said, "Have you heard of this product?" And I'm like, "No." And he's like, "You got to find out about this product. It had just come to market. This is the end of 2020." And I started doing some research. I had some conversations with Dr. Richard Presser, who founded the company. He's in Melbourne, Australia, and my wife and I got our first order the first week of January of 2021. We're healthy. We're blessed with good health. We were asking each other, how are we going to know if this stuff is doing anything? And we felt an immediate connection just holding it in our hand. We felt something unique. I can't explain it. For me, I would say I felt some kind of spiritual connection to it. It's such a beautiful product. And I noticed in the first week, a couple of things, subtle things. And I always ask people who are in good health to pay attention to the subtleties. I started waking up before my alarm clock would go off in the morning. Now, I was a chronic snooze button hitter my whole life. I never really got on well with morning, and just would sleep and stay in bed. Suddenly, I'm waking up 5 minutes before my alarm goes off and actually ready to get out of bed, clear-headed, energy, ready to go. Noticeable to me. Then I noticed that 3 o'clock in the afternoon kind of energy crash. It wasn't there anymore. I wasn't drinking any more coffee. I wasn't drinking coffee. My sense of energy reserves were deeper. And these are all things I noticed in the first week or so of using it. And about 3 months into it, having a meal, I had eaten something. I had a lifelong food allergy, and I had eaten something that would normally have caused an outbreak, and nothing happened. And I thought that was really weird. So I went
Oh, I
home thinking,
had the
puzzled.
same thing just happen to me. I
Yeah.
have a deathly allergy to mustard. It
Oh,
has sent me to the emergency room twice, once as an adult, once as a child. And I mean, it was life-threatening, hives in the lungs kind of thing.
ooh,
And
bad.
so we're we made a rare trip because I have a pretty good diet. We made a rare trip because it was after hours to a fast food establishment, and we're always crystal clear, no mustard whatsoever. Well, yeah, you know how that goes. And I forgot to
Hmm.
check, and I took a big bite. Now, did I have the sensation? Yes. And had I started running, I would have exacerbated the problem, no question. But I stayed still, and I really believe that the nanosoma boosted me against having a volatile reaction. It's funny you'd mention that because I had this happen
Yeah.
just 2 nights ago.
Wow. Wow. And that's amazing. And I suspect eventually, that'll go away completely. In my case, it was about 3 months. I never would have even known because I stay away from the things that like you do. Not willing to go volunteer a test there. And when nothing happened, I got home and I was thinking that's just really weird because it's without fail. I couldn't eat for the most part, like lettuce didn't bother me, but I couldn't eat raw fruits or vegetables without my mouth getting blistery and my throat swelling
Mhm.
up. Not anaphylactic, but very uncomfortable. And I was having a dinner salad and lettuce didn't bother me. I'm picking around stuff. I got a bite with some, cucumber and onion in it. Guaranteed to have a response. Nothing happened. And so I get home and I grab a bite of apple. Nothing happened. And that's about the time my light bulb went off. And I realized, wait a minute, I'm taking this product, Nanosoma, and it's supposed to bring the body into balance. It's supposed to, correct things that are not right from a health and wellness perspective. And I knew at that moment that's exactly what happened. And I've been eating raw fruits and vegetables every day since. And while that's for me, a significant
Wow.
thing, that's a small thing for some of the stuff people deal with. But that's a game changer for me. And, so having this product ultimately come across my path and in short order started talking to Richard Presser about how is he running a US based business at the time was pretty much just US and Canada from Australia. And he had said, hey, I had someone helping, it didn't work out. And yeah, it's not easy. So I said, this is who I am. This is my path. I've known it was meant to change. Pretty smart, a lot of business experience. Started doing some one-off jobs for him. And in May of 2021, became full-time general manager. And the business has changed and grown and expanded so much since
Mhm.
then. There was a time we couldn't get product from Switzerland, the manufacturer, to put into bottles. We were back ordered. So many lives were so positively changed, and it continues to this day. I look at, people who engage from your show. You've got listeners, you've got audience members who are in the 30s now on the number of orders that they've placed. People don't buy product over and over and over again if they're not having a positive experience with it. And when I see that, it's a joy to me to have been in an industry that is now the media industry that is now so very different than what I ever thought or had experienced. To be blessed to do this, to help bring these products to the world and see lives changed, it's such a blessing, and I'm so grateful for it. And having these conversations, working with you, seeing your experience, I couldn't ask for anything more.
Yeah,
It's
that's how I feel too.
wonderful.
The advertisers I choose for my show are deliberate. And it's kind of funny because when Scotty approached me, Scotty Sachs approached me just on, I want to help you, Dave, because you're terrible. You look terrible. You sound terrible. And he said, we'll get you this product. And then, but I started to have the relief after a week. I knew this was real. And Scotty says, have you thought about marketing it now that it's working? And I said, I think we need to take a look at that. But then I'll tell you what really has happened is when I go to a conference like the Hear the Watchman, and I'm approached as many times as I was about Nanosoma, it's absolutely amazing. All the things they could talk to me about, the number one thing that I had discussion about was Nanosoma.
That's incredible. And thank you to those folks in your audience for, number one, using their critical thinking, asking the questions, getting their confirmation. We put a ton of information and full transparency out there for people to do their research, to read these studies. Now, if you're like me, I'm not a scientist. Some of these studies are, I can get through the abstract and the conclusion reasonably well, but the rest of it, you kind of need a PhD to fully understand. But that's why we have members on our team that do that. My colleague, Dr. Roland Hillerman in Germany, he kind of takes that medical perspective role and runs with it. He understands that after 30 years as a naturopathic doctor, and he's been on this show together. So when we have a question about getting into the weeds, we go to Roland. And so we've got a really great team internationally that we support each other that way. But your audience, and I've said this from the very beginning, the one thing we cannot do is to buy the trust you've built with your audience. We can't buy that, and nor do we want to. So many products will, they'll buy space in whatever media they feel works, and we can do that all day long. But that doesn't get us the trust you've built. The trust you've built in sharing your personal experience, that is what makes the difference. And so thank you for being the ambassador you are from your own personal experience, because I know you've said to me, I can't stop talking about it until everybody I can possibly reach
These
experiences it.
products should be in every medicine cabinet in America. I really believe that. Uh, Particularly, to go political here just for a second, we're going to re-engage in this war with Iran. I'm convinced of it. Gas prices are off the charts and they're going to get a lot worse. That means the food supply chain and the medicine supply chain are going to be threatened. And what would you do, people, if you're back ordered on your medicine that you need? And I'm telling you, this is your fail-safe. This doesn't cure any one thing. What it does do is it boosts your immune system where it lets that do the work. And I'm telling people part of your preparation kit should be these products. And I've been saying this quite a bit lately. Um, I did my own controlled study. Now, this wouldn't stand up to replicable science, but I'm trained in research and stat. In fact, I used to teach research to graduate students working on their dissertation. I did that for over 4 years. So I know about the process. And one of the things in the process is you have to have a control group study. Okay, when I had the RSV and the pneumonia went away like in 3 or 4 days. It was fine. Antibiotics worked great. All the other stuff I was doing, the steroid injections, all that stuff, it didn't touch the RSV. And this is where the negative prognosis came in from a couple of pulmonologists, because when I didn't like what number one said, I went to number two and I got told the same thing. So I was off all medicines. I go, well, if there's nothing I can do, why am I taking this garbage? Because I know there's side effects. So I stopped taking the medicine. And this is when Scotty brought me the Nanosoma products. So I was my own control group study. No other medications to convolute the results. And the only thing I was doing were the Nanosoma products. Okay. So either time healed, as someone has suggested to me, and that's possible, but that's not what the doctors said. Time would not heal. And I was off everything else. And like I said, it took a week to walk upstairs. I was in the gym pretty active in a month. And at the 8 week mark, I didn't have any pain in my joints. I mean, this is honest, true testament.
It's incredible. And you're not the only one. And, certainly, I mean, every week on Tuesdays, we send an email out, Testimonial Tuesdays. And these are incredible stories from real people who share their experiences with us. And I will also say, in absolute transparency, we certainly get people calling and say, hey, it's been a month and I'm not experiencing anything change. And, we try to work with them. And it's important that the body's going to choose what it wants to work on first. And oftentimes, the body might be working on something you don't even realize it needs to work on, because the body is very intelligent. It has the tools that it needs to take care of itself. One of the things that happens is, as we go through life and we experience all of the toxins and everything that is detrimental to our health, our body gets beat up, and we lose cellular energy. Every cell in your body has a measurable electric charge. And if you lose enough cellular energy, your body's systems can't function properly. It's like using a cordless battery drill with a low battery. You pull the trigger, it spins. Technically, you could say it works, but it doesn't have the energy to put a screw in the wall. Well, if you think about the cellular energy in your body that operates the systems that the body has to take care of itself, if you lose enough energy and those systems can't work properly, well, the body can't take care of itself. One of the beautiful things about Nanosoma is that it actually helps the body restore at the cellular level its energy. It does that through supporting the mitochondria health. And as the mitochondria health increases, now your cells within that, the mitochondria within the cells, that increases its strength. The cellular energy begins to increase, and the systems in the body begin to work well. In a simple way of saying that,
I just had a thought. Go ahead. Finish
I was just going to wrap that up by saying some people respond far more rapidly than other people. Some people have fewer things that need to be dealt with. Some people have a laundry list of things. The body will wake up at that cellular level and triage what it needs to work on. All of our studies and all of our patterns of user experiences show us that the body prioritizes the most life-threatening issues first. Oftentimes, we don't even know what that is. So you might start using Nanosoma because you have high blood pressure. And if you're not seeing that high blood pressure normalize, what you need to understand and keep in perspective is that the body, in the presence of Nanosoma, may be working on the very thing that is contributing to high blood pressure. And once it gets that under control, you're going to start to see your high blood pressure issues begin to normalize. That's a very typical pattern. We can't identify what the body's going to choose to work on, but it's going to get there. And so it's why people should give themselves time, certainly at least 90 days, to experience and to document and to track what's happening within them. Go ahead.
Mitochondria is the rage now in research for muscle longevity and how viable your muscles remain, in to some degree your muscle mass determines whether you're going to fall and die from a fall within a year. And the stats on that are scary. And so what we look at with mitochondria is it extends the telomeres in the cells and they get longer life. And so when you don't have the rapid turnover, okay, you're going to just simply age more gracefully. And this is what we know with the research on rats in mitochondria.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a very good point, because one of the things that this active ingredient in Nanosoma allows the body to do is the body begins to lengthen those telomeres. And that is your age gene. And if you can lengthen the telomeres, you're essentially reversing the biological aging process, reversing the numerical aging process. As an example, Dr. Raghavan, the inventor of these products, it's been like 15 years since he brought Nanosoma to market in India first. He's been using Nanosoma liquid for more than 15 years. Brilliant, brilliant man, because he had the foresight. He didn't know everything it was going to do. He just knew it was going to be profound. And so that's why he's constantly studying it. He still has questions. Will it do this? Will it do that? And so he has these lab studies done, most often blind lab studies where the researchers, they don't know what they're working with. They're only given one thing and said, I want to know the outcome of its interaction, excuse me, with X, Y, or Z. And so there can't be anything tainted in. There's no opinions about it because they don't know what they're testing. But along his use, he had the foresight to begin having his biological age equivalent measured every few years. Doesn't do it as often now, I don't think, but he just turned 75 years old. The most recent one I'm familiar with is probably about 5 years ago now. But at that point, 5 years ago, called 70 years old, he had the biological age equivalent of a 48-year-old male. Now he's got a big head start on us in terms of how long he's using it. I just turned 56 years old a month ago, and I can tell you, I have never felt more 30-something in my life. I have less gray hair than I did when I started using it. I feel more vibrant. I feel like I look younger than 56. Again, I take good care of myself. I try to eat organically, and I try to, be very mindful of what I eat. I try not to eat processed foods and sugars and all of this stuff. I'm not a nut about it, but I do the very, very best I can. And all of that contributes. In fact, one of the things that Nanosoma I'm really grateful for is that it helps to detox the body. The body's constantly getting rid of toxins in the presence of Nanosoma. That's really good because, Dave, yesterday I saw a post from a friend of mine, a professional colleague, and I thought, I wonder if that's true. Gosh, I hope that's not true. So I went and looked it up. Earlier in 2026, and this is just a side note, but it's relevant, UC Davis University in California, UC Davis, you're familiar with.
Very familiar.
Excellent research departments there. They did a study on avocado oil branded products, mostly chips, some mayonnaises. And because I try to eat as clean as I can, I go for the avocado oil stuff. And lo and behold, 89% of all the avocado oil claimed and labeled chips that they tested, which was extensive, all failed. No avocado oil in there. Seed grade oils, canola oil, or worse, all this stuff. So here I am thinking I'm making a conscious choice buying product that has all the labeling on there, only to find out they're flat blatantly lying to you about this. And even the avocado mayo that I personally buy, it failed as well. No avocado oil in there. And it's offensive, beyond offensive as a consumer. But here's the good news, and this is why I say it. I take Nanosoma every single day. So while I think I'm making conscious, good health choices, we know that we can be duped. No matter how smart you are and how conscious you are, we can be duped and things can slip through. I know that I'm still okay because I take Nanosoma every single day.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's clearing it out of my system. Now, I don't use Nanosoma as a weapon of being unconscious about what I choose to eat. I just know that it's going to help me if I cross the line. I go to a restaurant, I think it's a clean restaurant. I know immediately digestion wise if it's processed food because my body doesn't like it. I know that now.
I know that too.
But Nanosoma every day, I also am aware that if something slips through, it's going to be taken care of. My body's going to take care of it. I got the strongest immunity I've ever had. And that's, I think, a really, really great knowledge. For me, I'm in good shape, but I'll take Nanosoma for the rest of my life, every day.
My wife would love hearing this interview because she read about it, brought it to my attention, and she said, when you don't stay on your strict diet and you say, I'm going to have a fun day today, it's usually Mexican food. That's my favorite. And so she'll say, honey, don't forget to order the guacamole. Same thing you're talking about with avocado.
Mm-hmm.
And she is adamant. And I want to say something about the coffee you brought up early. I drink 2 cups a day. I don't drink 3. I don't drink 1. I drink 2. My doctor told me, showed me the studies. It's a good barrier against Alzheimer's. And my wife hates coffee, so she drinks green tea.
Hmm.
and the same thing. And he told me, he says, either or, Dave. And so that's why I do these too. But I used to need a coffee to get going in the morning. I no longer do. I take it because my doctor said it's right and I trust my doctor.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I used to drink, whew, man, in my 30s, I'd drink a couple of pots of coffee a day. I mean, I came to think of it as work beverage, not even coffee. It was just there. So all day long, you're just drinking coffee, drinking coffee. And over time I realized just, I didn't feel as good as I thought I did. And I started cutting down. And now I have at home, I have one of those small, tiny little coffee pots. I get 2 cups out of it. And that's it. I don't even finish it. I drink about, 1.5, 1 1/3 cups cumulatively, and I'm done and I'm good. You know, I never have coffee in the afternoon or an energy boost in the afternoon. I just don't feel I need to.
yeah.
And it's about balance. It's about balance. So, all of these things are great. I do, I know that we're going to come up on our ending here, Dave, and not right now, but I know it's going to come before I realize that. So, two things. I think you may have some questions that people have posed to you. I do want to make sure that there's an opportunity to answer that. We may have already just by our
We
conversation.
really
You
have.
know,
A lot
yeah,
of it has to do with the time frame. And I'll
yeah,
tell you, I'm my own testimonial because people, and thank you guys for saying this. And I try to stay humble in the Lord, but they say, Dave, you've had a complete transformation in just the way you look. And I'll say this too. I think you're going to find this interesting. The guy who introduced me, the MC at the conference I was at, I had talked to him about this because he's an ex-college football player and we had some things in common. And he said, Dave Hodges, he says he's kind of gone from the depths of physical despair to where he's beginning to train for the Senior Olympics. Now, I don't know if I'll get out of the qualifying round. And when I was young, I had good genes. I mean, I was the fastest kid in my high school, knock on wood. I'm not making it up. I was really quick. And then, I probably need to lose an additional 20 pounds to really get into that sprinter. But I'm going to try to qualify in the 50 and 100 meter. And I'm training for this now. In fact, when I go to the gym today, my routine I'll go in and I'll shoot baskets for about 15, 20 minutes. Okay. And then today, what day is this? This is push day upper body. So I'll do that. And then it's back into the gym to do my sprint training. And so to me, it's amazing. And I never told my age on air. I don't know if I've ever told you my age, but no one believes me. And I'm not bragging, just no one ever. I was actually at a mall the other day and there was this promotion and I went and asked this kid about it. He was probably about 28 years old. And I said, I don't know if I have enough time left in life to benefit from what you're talking about. He goes, well, how old are you? And I told him I mean, it was about 3 minutes of I don't believe you.
yeah, yeah. I love it.
So
I
it
love it.
just
And wow, I had no idea. Man, all the best for the for qualifying. That's so look at 2.5 years ago. That would never have even crossed your mind. Maybe it would have crossed your mind from an I wish standpoint, but you knew you weren't there. And oh my God, Dave, I'm so grateful to hear that. I think that's so wonderful. And thank you for sharing that. No, you haven't told me your age, and I would never ask.
well,
But
I'll tell you what the heck. People are just I'm not going to believe it. I think, but and my wife she's so complimentary to me on this. I turned 74 yesterday.
wow, Dave, you're beautiful. Look at you. That is amazing. That's wonderful.
Oh, there it goes through the internet now.
Right?
He's
Yes.
so old. I'm surprised he can think. I mean, this is, but like I said,
That's this
well, I've come out of retirement too. It looks like I'm going to be coaching again, and why not? I have the energy and
absolutely.
I have the mental
Use it.
alertness now. So why not do what you enjoy doing? Don't let the number limit you. If you get a lease on life like I did, and I got a second lease, why not do the things you love to do?
Absolutely. And the most important thing, I think, above all, with or without nanosoma, certainly the help of it is going to help. Keep moving, keep moving. As
Yeah.
we age, movement is so important. Keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. It's
Resistance
critical.
training, my friend, and
Yeah.
I would tell the people your life will improve with the products. Okay. because I did, and I wasn't physically active when I was improving. I couldn't be physically active. But once you're in a functional state and Nanosoma has raised your level of functioning, you need to do resistance training. And I'm not talking about doing monster lifts to where you're going to get hurt, but you need to do resistance training and you need to 2 times a week push your lungs a little bit. And for everybody, it's different. Sometimes it's just fast walking. For me, it's sprinting. Okay. And it's everyone's different. But if you would do those two things on top of these products, you can turn back the clock because I have.
It's incredible. Is it okay if I share a couple of little bits of information about our company, some of the
Yeah,
things we've had going on recently?
let's give us the company update.
Yeah, so we're always trying to innovate. A lot of times it's not visible. A lot of our innovation comes in, how we package our products, finding efficiencies so we're not, consuming any more than we need to. We're always trying to focus on reducing our consuming footprint in our packaging and all of that. We've been in market now for over 5 years, almost 6 years. We haven't raised the price of our products once. You still buy your Nanosoma at the same price today that you bought it in 2020. And I think that's amazing because I can assure you that our costs are nowhere near what they were. So we try to find savings through efficiencies and packaging efficiencies and all of that. And a lot of time people don't think about that. But it's a good opportunity to kind of share because people do say, and I understand the economy is really a challenge for a lot of reasons for a lot of people. And people do say, oh, it's expensive. I understand that. And we're very sensitive to that. Our commitment is to not ever have to increase these prices. And again, we do that through a lot of efficiencies and expanding our growth, expanding the footprint, the reach that we have with new audiences and new markets and constantly getting more and more people to embrace these products. That's ultimately the goal. The more that happens, the more everything works. And one of the things we did recently to do that is there's what is called a World Congress of Naturopathic Medicine. And every year, I think they do these in various areas of the world, but just a month ago, exactly a month ago, in fact, our whole leadership team, my colleague in Germany, easy for him because he's based there, my colleague in Australia, myself, our COO, our president, CEO of the company, our compliance specialist to make sure we don't say things we shouldn't say and all of that. She's wonderful. We all joined together in Paris, France, for this World Congress of Naturopathic Medicine. And we did that because we have already a really large community of from medical doctors to chiropractors to massage therapists to you name it, practitioners, nutritionists, all of that who have seen the value of Nanosoma and who sell it in their wellness centers or through their practice with great success. And for us, the best market we can reach are people that are already engaged with helping other people be on a path to wellness and to have them understand Nanosoma. So we had the opportunity to go to Paris, to have a booth there, to engage with this amazing audience. My colleague, Dr. Hillerman, who's our medical specialist as a 30-year naturopathic doctor, he was able to present these products and how profound they were on the primary stage of this conference to a huge room full. I mean, it was a big room. I don't know how many people were there, but there were a lot of practitioners from all over the world. And we met so many amazing people. The relationships are developing, and we're beginning to see the fruits of that develop further into Europe, into United Kingdom, into places that you would think would be very, very difficult to get product to, some places in the Middle East. But yet we met and built relationships with people who have the ability to do that. And it's all divinely guided, I believe. Nanosoma, I think, has a conscience of its own, and it knows what it wants to do. And all we have to do is be here ready to do the work to help bring it further into the world. And so that was really exciting. And I just wanted to share that with folks, because that all means the continuation of these beautiful products. Some people who probably order regularly, as I mentioned before, have probably already noticed we recently changed our packaging to, if you buy a 3-bottle pack of Nanosoma, it comes now in a single box, and there's 3 sleeves of bottles in there. This helps with the security of shipping. It reduces the potential for bottle breakage, leaks, which we have experienced as we've grown as a company. So, updates on our packaging. I don't have a sample of it here, but if you've bought what we call our Magic Dicol starter pack, that has 3 bottles of the liquid spray, a topical gel, and a skin cream, that's now packaged in one box, shipped in one box with the 3 1-in-1, and instead of getting a box that has 3 loose bottles, 1 gel one, so we've updated all of that, and actually that has reduced the amount of consumable material we use, and it's reduced the amount of freight we use and the carbon footprint and all of that, which to us is important. And I know that there's various opinions on that, but if we can use less, we can keep
Sean,
those
I'm going to tell
prices
you,
together.
I'm not a big climate change guy, but I will say this. What we're doing in the oceans, okay, and the foul air that we're producing, there are
Mhm.
concerns. And so you guys aren't dumping your
Yeah.
product in the ocean and adding to that massive slab that we have in the Pacific that's killing marine life and affecting
Yeah.
the ecosystem. So I think that stuff is important.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I say it, I agree with you. I don't really buy into one way or another the things we hear online, or I don't even watch mainstream media anymore, so I couldn't even tell you.
Sure,
It's
yeah.
been years. But what I do know is this. I think I'm a relatively intelligent person, and the more you consume, the more waste there is, and the more potential harm there is to our natural environment. And we should be as conscious of that as we can in our own practices. And so as a company, we're conscious about it. We understand that if we have an opportunity to reduce how much fuel is burned in how we ship things and the routes they take and all that, there's no downside to that. It's not about a narrative, it's about a practice. It's about stewardship. It's about being responsible and ultimately keeping our costs down so we don't have to raise our prices, so we can be as good as we can with our customers that we appreciate so much. So just thought I'd share that. We haven't really talked about that before. Might not be interesting to anybody, and that's okay. But it's a little bit about the company. One thing I'm really excited to mention, and I will footnote this, asterisk this with, I can't give you a timeline, but it's coming in the pretty darn near future. And this will help us get this done. One of the things that we have heard the most over the last 5.5 years that I have been involved in talking with customers is people don't like having to throw away so many glass bottles, and the plastic sprayers can't be recycled and all of that. And there is waste there, speaking of what I was just talking
Mhm.
about. And so we finally found packaging that is compatible with Nanosoma liquid, because you got to have a certain kind of material to package it with, BPA and all of that stuff. Ultimately, to say that we are preparing to release what we call a family size refill bottle, meaning our customers are going to be able to buy a larger bottle of just the liquid, and it'll have a dispenser type cap that you can simply take your sprayer off of a bottle, put it in there, and squeeze this bottle and refill your glass sprayer.
Wow.
So, for example, I couldn't even tell you how many because I honestly don't know, but I know of a few specifically that I know personally. Their whole family uses it. It's 6, 7 people, between parents, kids, whatever. And they buy a lot of bottles of Nanosoma, and they are, recycling these bottles and throwing away the sprayers a lot. And it's a pain in the neck for them, and we don't want them to have to do that. And so
Exactly.
that's an
Makes sense.
opportunity for people to be able to say, I got the bottles, now I can buy a refill of just the liquid. And it might be 8 ounces. It's probably going to be 16, I think. We're still looking at some decisions on that. And to be able to buy that at an even better value, because we don't have people who buy a 12 pack of bottles, for example. You get a 15% discount, but you got 12 bottles, 12 individual boxes holding those bottles. You got one heavy duty cardboard box holding the 12 bottles. So now if we can have a refill bottle that'll refill those individual bottles, you got one unit, one box out the door, and it's going to save a lot of money. We're really excited about
That's
that.
really
There's some
cool.
other, yeah, there's some other things that we're developing that I can't quite talk about now, but we're really excited about them. So, this is the first place I've talked about it, Dave. Your audience has heard it first,
It's awesome.
and we're excited to be able to do that.
I want to, if I can get this to come up here, I want to share this with you real quick, or share with the audience so they can see this. Um, and let me move it in position. And I'm hoping you can see this. Can you see that?
I can see it, but it's a little too large for the screen display. I can
Oh,
see,
really?
yeah,
Okay.
there you go.
Crap.
There
Let
you
me
go. That's
see.
better. Yeah.
Okay. So there we go. And this is the three bottles that we referenced here with the spray. This is the gel that I used for my joints. And that's what I treated my cut with. It probably needed stitches. And so that's the logistics you get there with the amount, three bottles of spray, bottle of gel, bottle of the skin cream. And together that is the starter pack at 15% off. It's a great deal. And I tell you, people just swear by it. Now, I have been asked this question. Some people say, Dave, I'm absolutely convinced. I have friends that use that spray and so forth, but I can't afford the whole starter pack. Okay. And they say, which product would you use if you could only afford one? And I don't recommend you do this because once you feel better, you're going to want to do more, and that's where the gel comes in. But if you had to me, I would start with the spray, wouldn't you? To me, that's the baseline product.
Yes, absolutely. When we came to market in 2020, truly the company was started in 2019, but we really came to market here in the US and Canada anyway in 2020. All we had was the spray. The gel hadn't even been developed. It hadn't, Dr. Ragavan hadn't even finished the development of the gel. And for people to understand, the gel is identical to the liquid spray. It just has some edible xanthan gum added, which thickens that liquid into the gel. And it took a while to get that formulation perfected for stabilization and for all kinds of aspects of it. So the gel didn't even come out for about a year after I was with the company. So what did people do? The spray it in your mouth, use it as you do now. And if you need to, spray it on your skin if you got an issue. It's just the consistency of water. So it's difficult to get it to stick or stay. It can be done. You can put it on a Q-tip or a cotton ball and dab it into an area of concern or that needs some support. So you can do that. If you can only get one, definitely do the liquid, and you want that internal support. Your
Yeah,
body is going to do
absolutely.
so much for itself from that internal support, that cellular level up. And that's how we explain the products. The spray is your internal support, and the topicals really focus on hyper focusing the effects of the product. So the gel, I call it my first aid kit in a bottle. Cuts, burns, bruises, sunburns, mosquito bites. It doesn't matter. And I've recently started using this to help people understand because, and I do a monthly video blog, 2 or 3 minutes, sometimes five, if I'm feeling real talkative. And you know how shy I am, Dave. But I've talked about expectations. How long will this take to see results? And that's such an unpredictable question, but we have some
Yeah,
guidelines there.
but
So I
here's what I tell
do.
people. When I used to take over losing basketball programs, and I have a reputation for turning them around, I would just tell the players, trust the process. Don't look at the scoreboard for a while. Don't worry about wins and losses. Let's just do things the right way, and eventually it'll turn around. And that's my advice for these products. Trust
Yeah.
the process. People have come before you who have done really, really well, including yours truly, and including Sean here. And the bottom line is, if you just trust and stay in the process and you're consistent in your application, you're going to see the results because your immune system will kick in and take over. Sean, let me tell people how they can get it because we're almost out of time.
Yeah,
All you
absolutely.
got to do is go to iwantmyhealthback.com/Dave Hodges. Again, iwantmyhealthback.com/Dave Hodges. And I got to turn this off because they're going to shut me off if I don't. Hang on for a second afterwards. But anyway, thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you back here again next time. God bless.